So here's my Project 3 metal presentation. So starting off here, let's just go through the use case for this plant stand and what I had in mind when I was designing it. So it's designed to go inside of a bedroom, and with that, I was trying to minimize the ground space and maximize the amount of plants. So that's why it made sense for me to go vertically. And while going vertically, I wanted it to be very easy. I didn't want it to be very install intensive, so I didn't want to have to screw in shelves into the wall or anything like that. I wanted to have it, you just build it and put it there, or in the same vein, not have to screw into your roof to hang a pot. So now I'm going to go through more so the details of this project, all the materials, and some of the processes. So while doing this, there will be quite a few details that you guys won't actually be able to see because I'm a one-man camera crew here, so I can't zoom into everything. So with that, just take a look through the photos I'll provide after this and in the document, and then you can get an idea of more of the actual workings of these details. So let's get into the details now. The first thing we'll talk about is the aluminum. So there you go, it's the aluminum. I decided to go with aluminum over something like cold rolled steel due to the consistency and the lack of a seam inside of it. So it made putting the connectors in a lot better. This is a 16th inch wall thick tube, 0.75 inches high. So it gives it a relatively light feel opposed to a 1-inch piece of aluminum, and the wall thickness is just, you don't need a very thick wall, so it helps save on weight. So what else about aluminum? It's a sandblasted finish, so it gives it the same texture that I don't know, a Mac would have, on the Silver Max. And the sandblasting is a very good process for finishing aluminum, because you don't have to actually encase aluminum in anything due to the fact that it won't rust, but it gives a different texture than just the raw aluminum. And it is a very fast way to finish, since you don't have to sit there and prep all your metal and take all the time, and then put primer, and then the actual finish, and then a clear coat. It's just throwing it into a glass cabinet. I use glass bead medium for this, and giving it a quick back and forth with the gun, and you'll have a finish in a matter of minutes for one of these pieces, as opposed to hours. So that scales up too for larger manufacturing. So now let's go into the actual material for the elbows. So I just used urethane right now because it's what I had in these circumstances. I would have liked to use more of an amber resin to give these a dual glow to them potentially, but I didn't have a vacuum chamber, so I couldn't guarantee those bubbles wouldn't come out. For the actual manufacturing of these, I used a 2-part silicone mold. I used a 60 durometer silicone for the mold, so it was pretty stiff, so I have minimal deflection while keeping my walls down, just to save costs. So like any other 2-part mold, it goes in and then sandwiches in just like that. So I made 3 of these molds for the 4-way, 3-way, and 5-way connectors that are needed to build this piece. I also did play around with some different connectors, coloring. So I did tint this one green, but I had some issues with it curing, so I couldn't pursue that. And now just a little note about these connectors in general and some of the assembly. So as you can tell, this can come in any shape and size. Really, the sky's the limit. You can build it and expand it however much you want. And that was the idea of this whole situation, that people could just buy a certain amount and then build it and then add on if wanted. And another cool thing with these connectors is that you have 0 hardware. So it goes in just like that. And then I'll just find one that's loose enough to force in here. So I go like that, and then With that little hole there, we'll get into this more, but essentially it's for the basket. The hole's there, and then this piece of stainless steel rod slides in to hold the basket, and then that locks the elbow and the metal tailor because there's a hole in both, so there's no chance of this pulling apart. So that's an interesting detail to go into. So now on this topic of these rods and baskets that you guys are all probably confused about now, we'll start talking about them. So this is a polyester basket, so it has a high plastic content. So polyester fabric, and it is laser cut, and then with the lasering process, it's great because that's a super fast way to cut it, and it also seals it due to the high plastic content in the polyester. And then you have these tabs here that fold over, and then they get sewn, just a single stitch, super easy. And then that creates a sort of loophole, and then these stainless steel rods that fit into that side of the pipe slide in just like that, and then those rods go into the shelf here in those holes we were speaking of, and slides back and then forward to lock it in, just like glass on a lizard tank or something of that vein. And then these baskets simply then stretch down from the flat piece to create an area where the pot sits perfectly flat, as you can see. So it's actually derived from like Taiwanese grocery bags for bento boxes, so they don't tip. So the same idea of how do I get a basket or a net, as I was originally planning to do, to not want to flip and flop around inside with a pot in it. As you can see, it's very stable inside of there. And this also allows basically any kind of pot here. We have different, that's like a 4-inch pot to a 6-inch. I think you can probably go up to an 8-inch pot on these. So there's really lots of variety of the pots you can put in said bags. And then on the actual piece of polyester here, where the loop is, I went with a white stitch detail, so it picks up the colors of the connectors very well, and it gives a bit of an accent to it all. So yeah, that's about it on the actual, another thing with these pots is that since they have these large holes in them, they also allow light to go through, so all the plants can get the proper amount of sunlight. And in the same vein, the polyester is very durable and washable if dirt gets on it. And also, as far as coloring and why I chose the brown, I did try out some lighter colors because I was wanting to do a white, but the reality was it wasn't lasering too well. I tried lots of settings, and you got quite a bit of burn in here, so I ended up going with the brown because it hides the burn. So now we'll go into just a bit of production and costing. So obviously for a first prototype, like anything, the cost is going to be quite astronomical as there's a learning curve. So there's around 55 hours of labor put into this. I would suspect maybe a little more, if I'm being honest. But a lot of that came from sewing, learning how to sew, and making molds, and casting each part, and mixing the urethane every time. So for a one-man show, it's not going to be the most efficient to manufacture. But I never envisioned this as a one-man artisan created product. I envisioned it to be sold to a company like Umbra or IKEA, where they can pump these out super fast, as those processes are so simple, right? Just 2 holes drilled, cut aluminum. You could really quickly injection mold these parts, and you get a great quality out of that, and then just quick cuts in that, a laser cutting process, and then sewing. So very minimal and very simple tasks, not complicated parting or anything like that. So it really was thought out to be something that could be manufactured very quickly. So the cost of $38.50 for labor, and then $396 in materials, to a total of $4,246. $1,000, and yeah. But like I said, that cost would be significantly lower in a production setting. The only thing about the cost that's like concerned about would be the actual material, because the aluminum isn't the cheapest material out there. So I would consider potentially going with steel to try to reduce that cost a little more. But then you could take away from some of the manufacturing. So it'd be all about a numbers game of how cheap you could get the aluminum in larger volumes. Yeah, so that's about it on the actual presentation side of it. So yeah, you can see just a quick overview now and how it can play into different situations. If it's a 3 setup, a single setup, a 6 setup like here, where you can even see I started to play with the idea of a shelf. The shelf is just a bit of a placeholder. I think it would be more like a slatted wood kind of look for that in the future. But you can see you could add a shelf very easily. You can add more baskets, you could add a shelf on the bottom here. You could expand it out, expand it up. You could even make an arch. The possibilities are quite endless, and it can just be added on or subtracted since there's no fasteners or glue. And the last kind of point here I wanted to make was the fact that all of this can ship flat. So you can ship tons of these connectors and pieces of metal in a box with these fabric pieces, and it can all come to them super small, so you save on shipping costs, and it can be transported by the end user very easily. Instead of having to transport something this big, you can transport a box the size of a shoebox, which is all very enticing, especially if you're living in the city. So that's about all I have, so feel free to look through all the photos I'll post, so you can get a better idea of the details and how things actually fit together in real life. Thank you.